Hi, everybody, and welcome to episode 334 of the Culture Trail Running Podcast, where we talk about all the fun and crazy shit that happens on the trails and in our lives that most people don't care about or won't talk about.
Tonight's episode features Judy Proteau and her race for the Refuge. It's more than just a profile of a race. For those history buffs, we go into the background and tie it all into ultra running and our local trails. We also hear about the running club, Highland City Striders. It seems like these guys run almost every day of the week, and you should too. And as a matter of fact, next time you're out on a run, this is the episode to listen to.
From the belly of the Beast Coast, Glastonbury, Connecticut, this is the Culture Trail Running Podcast. We talk about all the fun shit that happens on the trails that most normal people don't care about. The language we use is f***ing explicit and raw like the trails we run on, so don't listen with your kids! Culture is brought to you by our Patreons and supporters, and we are 112% listener supported, and support is good.
All right. Well, welcome everybody to the Culture Trail Running Podcast. I'm your host, Art Byron. Okay.
Why not, right?
Take two. Shit.
Bye,
it's
bye,
doing
bye.
it again.
I love when it does that.
Yeah, I don't know why I did that, but okay. I
love when it does that.
I still don't know why it's doing that, but I'm your host, Art Byram, and I am joined today by my sidekick, Avery, the cat, the newest addition to my family. So
She's a hottie.
she's a culture cat.
She is meow.
Oh yeah, I bet she's a fast cat too, right?
She probably is.
Yeah. So watch out, everybody's on notice, okay? So
exactly.
I am also joined by my trusty sidekick. Sidekick? That's not a derogatory.
I like
Can we say sidekick these days?
Yes, because it reminds me of like if you were on it made me think of like those like little motorcycles with the little sidecar.
Yeah.
And I could be in the sidecar with the little goggles in the scarf that flaps in the wind.
Okay. All right.
That would be so much
That
fun.
works. Yeah. Evil Becky Burke.
That's me.
Yep.
Sidecar.
Very good.
Yay.
All right. And also joining us is my friend who spoke to me as if I was her best friend. And I had
because she's the best.
She is the best. And
she really is.
Judy...
I almost peed myself when you said her name to me. I was like, sorry.
Okay, so now check yourself before you wreck yourself, Beck. Here's Judy Proteau. Did I say that last name right?
It's more of like a Proteau. But it's
okay.
And you gotta drag out that last little Proteau. No,
okay.
It's
Proteau. I like that. No, now it makes you sound
like
like
a win-win last name, because you could either be like Pro 2, like I'm a Pro 2, like
also,
or you're like I'm a Pro 2, but the fancy kind. I'm a Pro 2.
I'm a Proteau, as if I'm a place kicker for the NFL.
Listen, I've been called a lot of things. Pro 2, Proteau. It really doesn't matter because I've probably been called worse.
There you go. All right.
Never.
Well, Judy in a surreal moment at Notchview, Judy said, I think you said something like, "Is that Art Byram?" And I was like, "Well, yes, it is." And then I was like, "Who's that?" And she goes, "Oh, you don't know who I am."
Okay, the funny thing about that is I swear you took half a beat and then you started running faster, which at 2 a.m. after you've been running for, 24 hours already, I was like, "Ooh, this guy's really kind of freaked out by the way I addressed him."
No, not at all. Like, I think Becky and I can both attest that due to our culture experience, we're quite used to fans accosting us on the street and like the restaurants, the
it's
restrooms.
Usually me accosting others. Like I'm like, oh, that's so and so.
Yeah, that's Gelato from the podcast.
Because I recognized your voice, and because it's 2 a.m., so all we have are our headlamps on.
Yeah,
and so I was like, I hear that voice, and you were with another gentleman, I think from New York, who also had a very distinctive voice, and I was like, I know that voice.
Wow, yeah, that is funny. I have to say, like, I think the first time that happened, it did freak me out a bit. The first time that somebody, like, I think I was in line in a race in New York at like River to Castle or something like that, and somebody in line called me out, and the podcast had only been around for like maybe 3 months, 2 months or something like that. And so for me to go to New York, an hour and a half away from the belly of the Beast Coast, and have somebody call me out by my name was like that was
You didn't have
surreal.
your bodyguards. You didn't have your entourage.
I know. I wasn't packing
You were
heat.
not prepared.
Well, maybe
It's
I
like
was
you're
packing
famous.
heat. Yeah, it's podcast famous though, so it's a different kind of famous, right?
It is.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so,
Well,
and
I
you know
knew
what's so
yeah.
funny is as soon as you said that, when you're like, oh, and it was the middle of the night, and then I was like, oh, I didn't get to see Judy during the middle of the night.
Nope.
So I was being sad that I didn't get to see you.
But
It was a great race, and really for me it was just a lot of fun because it's almost like a family reunion going back to Notch
Mhm.
View year after year, and you see these wonderful faces and hear all the stories about what they've been up to in the last year. So it's great.
yeah.
It
Yep.
is. I know. I love all the Not You peeps.
Yep.
What sweeties
We
everybody
do.
is.
So I have to mention this is that Judy has her own race called the Race for the Refuge, right, Jude?
Yes. Yeah, it's in September, at the end of September, and it's held at this National Wildlife Refuge in Sudbury, Mass, which is about 15-20 minutes from where I live, and it's one of my most favorite places to. And
Yeah.
so
Oh, wow.
yeah, the permitting and the whole process has taken almost a year to get everything approved and ready to go. So I am just thrilled that we're having this race. I'm thrilled that we have almost 60 folks already signed up for it. We have a lot of different events within this race. And so we're just psyched that this is happening.
Gotcha. So this is going to happen on September 28th, right?
Yes, sir.
Day after my birthday.
Oh, look at that. Okay. And the other thing, so just to kind of give a visual to people, because we have to always locate things according to running. So I think that if you think about this, everybody knows the Boston Marathon and knows Hopkinton. So this is, it's just north of Hopkinton, I believe, right?
Yes, it's about 20 minutes, 30 minutes north of Hopkinton. Sudbury is just a small little town. People call it a Boston suburb, but really it's about 35, 40 minutes outside of Boston.
Boston is a suburb of Sudbury.
Yes.
Which is
That's
That's what it really is.
which is an outer city of Glastonbury, I believe. Like,
Well, now you're just being crazy.
the belly of the beast.
Now
everything-
that's just
yeah.
that's just crazy talk now.
Gotcha. I wanted to get into like Judy's background, but before we did that, since we're talking about Sudbury, I gotta just
I know I'm like looking it up, which of course I can't find it the way that I want to.
Yeah, I just want to talk a little bit about Sudbury to start with. And the one thing that kind of jumped out at me when I was looking into Sudbury just to find it there and stuff. Back in, let's see.
Is this your history lesson?
Yes, it is, Beck. Thank you. So pay attention. If you don't like history,
I am.
If you don't like history, then you're a loser, and fast forward 5 minutes. Okay. If you do like history, and that also relates to ultra running, and bear with me, then hang on, because we're going to go back to 1676. That's right. In 16,
the year I was born, I think.
Somehow I don't think so.
I was like, real, and then I'm like, wait a minute.
1676, not even 1970s. No, you're even younger than 1976.
No, you're younger than me.
Yeah. So at any rate, during that time, that was they had King Philip's War, and so that was a very bloody war in the area in New England specifically, between the native people and the settlers there. If you think about it, when the settlers first came, they were kind of welcomed by, to some accounts, they were welcome, or at least, had made arrangements with the original people here. And then a couple generations later, as generations went on, kids as we are, stopped honoring, stopped honoring the agreements that their parents made. Basically, if you think about it, it's like, well, why are we putting, each side is like, there's more people coming than they said, and the others are saying, well, they're kind of, they're doing their thing, and there wasn't that connection. So they kind of, maybe this is a gross oversimplification. They stopped getting along like their parents had, and lost that connection. Because clearly the first settlers wouldn't have survived without the help of the native people there. And so that ultimately it broke out into a war. And the last victory that the native people had against the settlers was the Battle of Sudbury. And that's where local Nipmuc, and that's a familiar name, Narragansett and Wampanoag warriors fought the colonial militia. This was the final major Native American victory of King Philip's War. So a lot of people say, oh, who is King Philip? What is, and why are the colonists fighting him? Was this the revolution? No, it wasn't. It was King Philip was also known, was the English name for Metacom, or also Metacomet. And he was the leader of the Wampanoag Confederacy in the mid 1600s. So, if you think about the Metacomet, we have lots of trails that are named after all of those tribes. And the Metacomet Trail is part of the Cut 112. And the Metacomet Monadnock Trail, and they're both long distance trails that go all through Massachusetts and Connecticut and some other areas. It was I think it was the last major Native American victory. And after that, I think, there were 500 people, the 500 warriors attacked and killed a lot of people. And then after that, I think, the settlers came in and just, I think that pushed a lot of people over the edge, and we all know how it ended up. So, which was, I guess, like, I am losing the right words to use here. I was going to say unfortunate, but that's like kind of like the understatement of the year. So, I just kind of wanted to mention that actually happened in this area. So, I think, just if you do go run there, just kind of maybe keep that in mind, right? That, that there were people there before we were. So, I think the war at the time, the war devastated both sides. It was one of the deadliest wars in American history at that point. Certainly, an estimated 30 to 40% of the native population in southern New England was killed or enslaved through King Philip's War, and that was after huge loss of life leading up to that. Prior to that, through disease and other things. So, but that's kind of, if you kind of wondered where we got some of these trail names, that's a little bit of the history. So if you look at the either one of those trails and you look into the individual towns, there's lots of Metacomet avenues and King Philip's Road and things like that. So if you look for all those clues, you'll see those indicators, and that's why you'll see a lot of King Philip mentioned in areas around the Metacomet as well. So there you go.
That's really interesting, Art. Yeah, that's really cool. Now, I do know that there is some type of connection that the wildlife refuge still has with the Native Americans, because when we
Hmm.
were working with the Fish and Wildlife Director, she said, these are the steps that we need to complete to get the permitting done. And one of those steps is working with the local tribe to get their approval.
Very
So
good.
I'm not sure exactly how much of a connection there still is,
Mm.
but I am glad that we do have their approval to run this race on their prior land.
Gotcha. Yeah. Very, very good. Becky, also you and I had a connection to this as well because Metacomet was actually buried in, I believe it's Bristol, Rhode Island. So when we
Oh,
did your birthday run um, almost a year ago, uh, we we ran right. That was one of the places that we were looking for.
yes. Which,
Um,
if we were looking for, we probably didn't find it.
correct. We did not find it, but we were very close. We were right there.
Or we found it and we kept going by it and didn't know that we found it.
That's right.
Kind of like when we couldn't find our way out of the parking lot
Or like
to
a
start the run. We couldn't figure it out. So it took us
yeah,
30 minutes of going in within a quarter-mile radius.
yeah, yeah.
Literally, that's what we did, Judy, for 30 minutes
It was pretty
because
good
we
though.
couldn't figure out how to get
Well, we didn't know
a
if it was
certain
on one
direction.
side of the river of the water or the other side, and then we started the course backwards. So
It's like National Lampoon's Vacation, where it's like, look, kids, Big Ben.
that's right.
Like,
Yes,
going over around
Judy,
and
it was
around.
exactly like that. You
It
must have been
was like
watching us.
that.
So
It was.
yeah, that was a classic there.
It,
And
it
now
was.
actually it was also my first day with a new watch, so I hadn't quite
Yeah, it was that.
I hadn't quite figured it out. But now I'm a subject matter expert. So if you're ever lost, just come up and ask me and I'll send you on your way. So
Wow.
yeah. So I thought before we talk more about the race, because I definitely want to talk about that, but I'd like to get to know you a little bit better, Judy. So maybe you could bring us back
Yeah.
to when you were a small child, like as small as my cat. Avery.
Small as my cat.
Yes. When
We
you were a
might be here
kitten,
a while.
when you were a little kitten, where were you?
Well, back in 1776, when I was
Mm,
Yeah.
born,
very good.
I grew up in a small town called Bolton, Massachusetts, and it
I
and
didn't know there was a
when I
Bolt in Massachusetts.
yes, because there's a
Yeah,
Bolton,
Because there's a
Connecticut.
Connecticut.
there
Yeah.
is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow.
It's
Huh.
Wow.
but it was a small town. I mean, when I say small, I
How
want to
small
say
was
less
it?
than well,
It was so
minuscule.
small.
Sounds like a joke.
When you sit
It
around
was
the town, you sit around the town.
well, literally, I think there was one gas station and probably one stoplight, and we had maybe 1,800 uh residents at the time.
Mhm.
And since
Wow.
then, it's grown tremendously. But it was a small town, and so there was a lot to do, and I had made friends with a lot of farm animals and did a lot of gardening, and I really didn't run that much, to
Mm.
be honest with you. And my goal was to basically get out of that small
Yeah.
town.
Get out of Bolton. Okay. Now, did your parents run or anything, or were they athletic at all?
No, all right, that's the weirdest thing is no one in my family understands what I do, why I do it, or the people that I hang out with
Especially that
while
last
I
one,
do it.
right?
Yeah, exactly. Those weirdos.
Yeah, yeah. Very good. So if you were what kind of a kid were you? What was your identity as a youngster? Like when you thought of yourself, what were you all about?
Yeah, I mean, I did a little bit of everything, to be honest with you. And what do they call that? The master of no, jack of all trades, master of none, or
Hmm.
something like that.
Oh,
So
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's like I actually was an EMT while I was in high school. I was in the drama club.
Really?
Yeah, a lot
Wow.
of just different random things, but I was not what you would call a jock. And in fact, it was a joke because I actually played basketball, when I was in
Oh.
middle school. And I wasn't good enough, obviously, to do it while I was in high school. But now Beck knows how tall I am. I'm 5 feet tall, maybe. So that's a
Okay.
little bit weird, right? That I would be playing
I think
basketball.
basketball, but that's awesome. Because I always wanted to play basketball and I was too afraid to try out because I was short and I'm just under 5'2". So
And afraid of
it's,
basketballs.
no,
I mean, it's those
I was going
things
to say something
flying
different,
at
but
your head, at a
yes.
velocity. I did softball as well, but it was one of those things where I just kind of hung out with a lot of different people from different groups and things like that. But when I went to UMass Amherst, which is where I did my bachelor's degree, it was just a really cool experience. Because UMass is so large, it's what, 20,000 students or something like
Mm.
that. And there was just such a wide variety of folks, groups, and different things like that, to keep busy with, in addition to the regular, college things that college students do, which we don't really need to tell my parents about, but I'm sure they assumed.
Gotcha. Wow.
You
So
know, it's funny is I can totally see though, like when you were saying like, being a jack of all trades and kind of just, going with all the different groups. Like I can totally see that about you. Like that just like as you're saying, and I'm like it just like clicks where I'm like, yup. Like you just seem like that person that like you'd wanna meet in school because they just would, talk to everyone and had an interest in a lot of different things and
yeah, she
yeah, so
can't
it just
dunk.
fit.
Okay. She can't dunk, but she can definitely teach you how to dunk, right?
I can tell you about it.
Yeah, she'll give
Theoretically,
you
this is what you have to do.
very good.
Exactly.
And if you hurt yourself, she'll be able to fix you up and and get the attention of everybody to come over
Yes.
and help you. So do you have brothers and or sisters, Judy?
I do,
How
yeah. I
about
have two
all
two
you?
older brothers and an older sister. And
You're the
they're all
baby?
married. I am, yeah,
Oh, I'm
by
the
Mm.
baby
like
too.
eight years, I think, actually. So I'm definitely. I don't know what the birth order situation would be if you're that much younger
Yeah.
than the
Were your
next
siblings all
siblings.
close in age, or it was
Yeah,
everybody like pretty far apart?
yeah, they were pretty close in age. So they were like, 2 years apart, and then there was me. So it was, you
Mm.
know,
Oh, okay.
um, but I think by the point that I was growing up and doing all those high school things and the college things that you do, I think my parents were just like, yeah, whatever, fourth kid,
Right.
she'll turn out okay, I guess. And I really didn't run much in high school either. I would
Mm.
run around the block a couple of times. It was only a mile or two around that block. And just mostly for stress relief and just for a little exercise and get outside. Um, but I really didn't run, and that really didn't come until maybe 10 or 11 years ago is when I started running.
Okay. Huh. Very good. So
Wow.
and what made you start like 10 or 11 years ago? What happened that made you uh lace them up and start?
Well, to be honest with you, it was probably in the fall. And that first day when you put your jeans on and you haven't worn your jeans in maybe two
Mm.
months because it was the summer and it was kind of hot and everything. And jeans are a
Mm.
little unforgiving. And so about
Mm-hmm.
10, 11 years ago, I put my jeans on in the fall and I was like, ooh, okay, I guess I can't eat all the pizza and all the Chinese food and drink all the beer like I used to when I was in my 20s.
Yeah, yeah. That's such a strange feeling. Like, to sense your mortality and just that, yeah, that you can't just like make it up as you go along.
And that was when I kind of figured, okay, well, just move a little bit and see how things go.
Hmm.
And I actually joined a running club, which is just a local running club. It's called the Highland City Striders. And it was, to be honest
Like
with you,
arts, like the Silk City Striders.
Like the Silk City
So,
Striders or the
yeah,
Shinipsit Striders. Oh, I have to like do a timeout here before I forget. Um,
really nice.
I know, great. Like this is like this is where most other podcasts now would start with they'd start with a commercial roll here. So, but we do commercials, and because we just feel like it, right? And not because we're getting paid for it, although we could get millions of dollars, but that we forego because who needs that, right?
Exactly.
All right. So Schnipsit Striders in Connecticut, trail running group. They are celebrating 50 years. So this this weekend they have an 8-hour fat ass. So which is they do, yes. And a celebration of the 50th birthday. So
wow.
Is it like a looped course or
I think it's like it might be a 3-mile course. And it's actually, we have details on our it's either on their Facebook page or I think if you go to our fan page, there's somebody posted it up there as well. So, and I was joking saying that the Schnipsit Striders are so old school that I have such a hard time believing that they're only 50 years old. So I think them celebrating that is just their Garmin age of their club. I think they're actually probably like 75 or something, but they just look really good. So
in dog years, they're like 75.
Yeah. That's okay. So, and now back to our show. So Judy, so then you joined a running club, right? And that's a great thing for, for runners to do. It sounds like an obvious step, right? But a lot of people don't really know about running clubs or, are afraid to join. Weren't you, let me ask you this. Weren't you afraid? Boy, this
now she's going to have to say yes because you just
she could say no and be contrary, and then we can yell at her. We can yell at her and alienate her. Before you went to the running club, did you think that maybe you might not be fast enough to run with them? Or did you think like, no way, I'm like definitely faster than probably anybody there?
Counselor, I will say that you're not leading the witness.
Okay.
No, I will say, yes, you're 100% right. In fact, the only reason I went to that first run was because it was on a rail trail. And so it was an out and back. And so I knew, I'm like, I'm not going to get lost. If I get dropped, it's no big deal because I know where my car is and I've been on this route before. And the first person who welcomed me was this guy named Jim. And I call him Colonel McKenna, but he actually is a retired Air Force colonel or something. And he sticks his hand out and he says, I am so glad you're here. And that was all.
What a nice thing to say, right? Yeah.
That's so nice.
And so ever since then, it was just a really nice warm welcome. And yes, I was super nervous because I'd only run, 2-3 miles at a time. And all these people look like these fast Boston qualifying marathon people, and I'm looking around
all of them are. They are.
No more joking. Wow.
Jeez. Yeah, so that's awesome. I think just like if anybody's listening out there who hasn't joined a running club, like you got to do it and just understand that like everybody who joins a running club, unless you're like all legs and lungs and from a track club or something like that, everybody who goes there thinks that they're not going to be fast enough and that, this and that and the other thing, but really just go out there, let people know where you're at. And I'm sure you can, if you happen to run into a running club that you don't like, look for another one because there's probably one that will be a better, a good fit for you. So I definitely, I did that. I joined Essex County Running Club in New Jersey when I first started. And that was like an instant community, there was like Judy Brown, she was there, and this other doctor guy, I forget.
Judy Brown?
A different,
joking, I don't know who that is.
Downtown Brown.
Downtown Judy Brown. Yeah. No, she taught me, she was like, people told me the stories of like the invisible lasso that you throw around the neck of the person who's passing you. And they were just wonderful people. And, I ended up running into them at New York City Marathon, cheering at like mile 20. which was my first thing. But so if you're out there, definitely find a running club to join, and because there's so much information that you can get from them, and lots of good camaraderie as well.
Yeah.
And they're the ones who are responsible for getting me into trail running, because I'd really done all of my training I had done on the roads. And so there was a group called the Water Buffaloes. Long story, but basically they called themselves the Water Buffaloes, and they were all the trail runners. And I realized very quickly that they were the cool kids in the club, and I wanted to be just like them. So they're the ones who were like, let's do a 50K. So I was like, yeah, sounds like a great idea. I mean, sure, why not? I'd only done like 1 or 2 marathons, right?
So let's go to that. Let's go to your first marathon. I always love to hear that story. That's always my favorite story. So tell us what was your first marathon?
Yeah, my first marathon was it was a Sugarloaf marathon, and that was up in Maine.
Yeah.
And it's really it's a point-to-point marathon. And I remember you basically take a bus from the finish line all the way up to the start line, which is almost close to the Canadian border. And I remember just sitting on that bus with a buddy of mine who was an experienced marathoner. He'd run 20 or 30 marathons. And he looks over at me, he says, listen, I know you're scared, but when you hit mile 20, you gotta just hang on and do what you can to finish. And dead in the eyes, he looks at me like that and says that. And I've never forgotten that.
Wow. Yeah,
that's good advice, because that is like, you do have to just buckle down and be like, yeah.
It was honestly, it was a great day. I really enjoyed it. It's a special kind of fun, right? I mean, you hate it when you're doing it, but when it's over, you love it and you're glad that you did it, and then you're signing up for something new later on. So, yeah, I went back a couple of different times back to Sugarloaf. And then I started getting into the longer distances. So my first 50K was a Run Amok, which is up in Vermont. And I know, Beck, you've done that.
Wait.
Yes.
Did we do it the same year? We must
I don't
have.
think we did. I'm trying to
Now I
recall
have
what
to look.
year I was up there. I've only done it 1 year. But it was really kind of a cool experience. And I do remember the RD
Jonathan.
looking at, yeah, I think he kind
Unless
of
it was
tried
the
to,
year that I didn't do it.
I don't
Sorry, go
remember
on, because I'm interrupting you.
I
I'm
remember
looking
as
at
a
your results to
gentleman
see if
RD.
I find myself.
Yeah, like an ultra sign up.
Yes.
I do remember him kind of implying like he didn't think I could do it because it was my first 50K. And it
I
was
totally
one of
did
those,
it that year.
was it the
Sorry.
same year?
Oh
Well, I
my
didn't know you.
God.
Yes, it
That
was the
okay.
year that I got. It was the first year, and this other guy and I got completely lost.
Oh, that's easy because some of the course markings I think were either taken down or maybe had blown off off the poles or something.
Yeah, that was
So,
the year that we went way, way off course, and we had like some random person drive us back in their car because we were like 8 miles away from the finish. And so then we like jumped out of the car like 100 feet before the finish and ran across the finish line. And Jonathan's like, "What is going on?" And we showed him our watches. We're like, "You don't understand." And we told him where we were. He's like, "Whoa, you were really, really far away." So, anyways, but yay!
And then he
I
called
love
the
that way
police.
for. And then he called, yes.
but
Wow.
there's a lot of hills, so it probably
Yeah.
was not for like a first 50K, it was probably not the ideal situation. But he kind of implied, I think, that he didn't think maybe I could do it. So of course, when someone says that, the first thing you want to do is finish the
Yeah.
damn thing. So
Yeah.
you're proven
Exactly.
wrong.
Very good. Excellent. So that's
Yes.
that's a great way to go after it, doing it.
Oh no, it was the year before that I got lost. Sorry, year before. That wasn't.
But you ran
Why
it the
does this
next
even
year
matter?
too?
But I ran it the year that you
Okay.
ran it. But I ran it for the first time in 2016, and we both ran it in 2017. Yay!
All
And
right.
it is a hilly course because it was at Suicide Six. Is that like
Yeah.
that ski
Mhm. That
place.
ski resort,
And
yeah.
yes, and the first two miles, you're like on a road, and you're like, all right, whatever, okay, okay,
Yeah, I can
okay.
do
And
this.
then you get onto like all those hills, and he put like the sticks, like
Yeah.
the walking sticks
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Oh,
That's good for
And it
you.
was
That's not an easy first 50K by
no,
any
and
by
we're
any
on like
means.
those gravel roads for a good portion of it. And at the end,
Yeah.
I believe it's like 2 miles of, yeah, kind of downhill, but it's on
Yeah.
downhill of asphalt. And so after you've been
Yes.
running on these soft gravel roads, so to speak, and then you hit asphalt, oh my gosh, my legs were like on fire.
mm,
Yeah. Yep.
wow. That's great. So then, so you did a 50K, right? And then, now you've done quite a few races after that, right? So so
Oh,
oh,
you did really well.
let's go back just a second to I want to go back to Sugarloaf, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So I actually, when I was training for New York, I was on vacation and I was injured, but my schedule said that I should start my training. So I had taken a couple weeks off, and then I was at Sugarloaf. I went down to the bottom of the hill, and then there's this
Yeah.
little rail trail that's there, and I ran on that rail trail. And that was a great place. And that I started my training, and it was and it worked well there. Does that course go on that rail trail? Do you know? Or
I don't think
I
so.
don't think so.
so that
It's
doesn't
all
my
this
story
like
doesn't matter.
yeah, yeah, no, I mean it's just a beautiful area up there. I have a friend who lives in that town, Kingfield, that it finishes in. So that's always kind of a plus
Mm,
for me because I get a chance to see him. But it's really down this kind of a busy logging road. And
okay.
the road has a little bit of a camber to it. So by
Mm,
the end of 26 miles, you feel like one leg is shorter than the other. And
yeah,
you kind
yeah.
of feel like
Oh,
this weird
yeah.
like peg leg situation.
Oh gosh. I remember climbing there's two mountains there, right? There's Sugarloaf, and then there's another mountain that's right there. And I remember that my wife and I pushed our our son, who was just I guess he was probably 4 years old or something like that. My wife used to have a running group, or a hiking group, where it was called hiker moms.
Aw,
So
Oh, I
she would,
like that.
yeah,
cute.
So clever.
so she would
Hiker
find
moms.
hikes that parents, that moms could take with their kids, and push them, either carry them in a backpack or push them in a jogger stroller. So we were all in for the jogger stroller. So we pushed this jogger stroller up this freaking mountain. It's like a ski
Mhm.
mountain. And we got to the top where we would have to, like, one of us would have to stand on top of this mini cliff and grab the front wheel and pull this thing up. Like, I felt like we needed a block and tackle to bring everything through there, but it was a great place to hang out. Sugarloaf was. So
Wow.
but now I've distracted us again, Beck.
Yeah.
Usually this is your job. I'm sorry. I got to stay in my lane
I
here
know.
and get serious here.
Yeah.
Okay. So Judy, then, so you did the 50K, and then after that, what did you think? Like, I'm good with 50K, or what were you thinking?
Well, Art, I decided I really like the pain, and I decided let's just go for it. Let's do a
Hmm.
100 mile.
Yeah, right. Like,
But I did graduate to 100K first. I went from the 50K to 100K.
oh,
Um,
okay.
and then which my first 100K was at Hamster Wheel, and then my first 100 was also at
Yay.
Hamster Wheel.
Okay,
So
good,
I
good.
I know that you guys have all been there, and a lot of your listeners have been there. So it's a real kind of nostalgic place for me. I did the relay there a couple of years ago, and it was just such a fun experience. And it was a fun
Mm,
experience to do the relay with a bunch of us who were just kind of quote jackassing around, really.
mm.
And we're just like, let's just have fun with the day and see how it goes. And one of my friends brought this battery operated blender. He brought
Oh.
non-alcoholic like pina colada mix. And so, he had the blender going and we're all drinking pina coladas. We had like Hawaiian leis on, and it was just like a super fun experience.
Mm. Oh my gosh.
Oh, that does sound fun.
Yeah. That is
I like that.
yeah, that is it is a special community, I think the running in the whole Northeast, at least, is definitely like that. You can kind of find your people at these races, and whether you want to run it hard or whether you want to, jackass around, I think there's something there for everybody. So, so the 100, yeah. So what did you think of the 100 miles at that point? What was it that, made you do it more than once?
So I've done 9 so far. Moving into my 10th at Ghost Train in 2025.
Mm,
So in just a
Wow.
month or two. Um, I kind of just like the mindset of it, and not to get too meta or anything like that. It's just here we live such comfortable lives, right?
mm,
We have air
Mm.
conditioning, we have heat in the winter, we have food that we want, we have nice, dry, clean clothes. Basically we have good lives, good, easy lives, perhaps.
hmm
And so, what I like about the ultras, and specifically about that distance, is it forces you to problem solve, to get outside of your comfort zone, and to really kind of think about your life. I mean, there's plenty of time to think about your life and the decisions, good or bad, that you've made, especially
mm.
at 2 a.m., 3 a.m. So, I really like that mindset that the 100-mile distance forces you to have.
Gotcha. Okay. So I get that, right? I definitely understand that. I feel that, yeah, you want to make somebody like really not have a happy life, like give them nothing to do and
No, no, no.
give
Sorry.
them no challenges. That's Becky yelling at her dog. But you give us some challenges, and all of a sudden there's a sense of satisfaction from doing difficult things, and from doing something that at some point during it you think that you might not be able to do, and going into it, it's preposterous. And when you're done with it, when you tell anybody about it, or when you think about it yourself, like 2 weeks later, you're like, yeah, I did it 2 weeks ago, but I don't know if I could really do that like again. you know
When you really think about it, you're like, I'm going to run 100 miles on foot, like
Mhm.
all day, all night,
Yeah,
carrying food and snacks. It just seems strange.
it
Like
does.
who would do that in their right mind?
Yeah,
Like willingly and pay money
but
for it.
like, spoiler here, I think that like we found out that it is hard to do, but that it's certainly by no means impossible, and no means as hard as most people would think that it would be to do. So here's my question to you: is there anything, like, have you been faced with anything in life, you know that you've been able to transfer that running knowledge into? Like, that's for me, that's always been the real key. Like, have you been able to take the lessons you learned, out on a race course into your life, and push through?
Yeah, I would definitely say that my experience, so because I started ultra running kind of later on in life, I was probably about 40 or so when I started running. And so it was one of those things where, I have all that life experience. Life hasn't always been easy. So
Mm,
you kind of take that experience and take that knowledge of, well, I went through this and I can live through that. I can live through the next 5 miles, or I can live through the next 8 miles in the rain.
mm,
And then alternatively, the problems or things that you face while you're ultra running, you can apply that to your life as well. And so
mm,
some of those problems in your life, like with your job or a relationship with a friend or something like that, um, you can take those lessons and try to apply it. I'm
mm.
far from perfect and I make mistakes all the time, but I will say that I think that ultra running, and specifically that 100-mile distance, has really helped shape me, hopefully, to into a better
Mm.
person. But
Yeah.
maybe you should talk to my friends and my husband first about that.
Now, have you made big mistake? Like, what's the biggest mistake you ever made during a race?
Oh, Art, I mean, I've made them all. I am just so stubborn and pig-headed and everything like that. So someone would say, "Don't forget to drink water," and I'd be like, "Screw this! I don't need water."
I don't need
But I think
water.
who
Mm,
needs water? I'm a animal.
Let the motherfucker burn.
I think the biggest mistake I made during a race was quitting the race, and Becky was there for that lovely
Oh,
experience at
but that was an
Notfield.
awesome story.
Let's talk about
That
that.
was an awesome.
So yeah, bring us into your mindset, like where things started to go sideways.
Well, it was one of those things where I was about 72 miles into Notchview, and at that year I had signed up for the 48-hour race, and it was just like a
That's when I knew she was
nightmare.
a cool cat.
Oh
That's when
gosh,
I
Beth,
knew it.
it was, I
It
mean,
was
it was
very
just a
cool.
hot day, just
Yeah.
gross, and I couldn't get comfortable with being uncomfortable, if that makes any sense at all. Like I
Yes.
just couldn't click in, right? And so at 72 miles with 24 hours left on the clock, I quit the race. So I told Ben with two N's, I told him, listen, I can't do this. I'm just done. I'm done for the day. I'm done with this race. I'm done with running, you know.
And Ben, I'm not
shit.
sure about you either.
That was one thing I will say. He's a pretty affable kind of guy.
He is. Okay, I take that back. All right.
So I drive home 2 hours. I pack up all my stuff. I drive home 2 hours. And of course, my family was surprised to see me back so early. And I was just like, I just can't do this. I am not cut out to do this. I'm never going to run again. You know how that goes. So I shower, I eat dinner, I go to bed at like 8 p.m. And at 4 a.m. the next day, Sunday morning, and the race ends at noon on Sunday for me. At 4 a.m., I wake up and I'm like, oh my God, like, what did I just do? I quit at 72 miles. Like, who does that? Right? Who does that? And I just sit up and I'm like, I have to go back. And so all my clothes were like still in the wash, because it's pretty gross. My sneakers were in there. So I had like these like 5-year-old sneakers. I'm like, okay, I guess I'll just grab these because they're dry. And I pack up all my stuff, drive 2 hours back to the race. And at that point, I didn't even know whether Ben was going to let me back on the course. Because
it's up to Wally, actually.
Yeah, well,
Wally the watermelon.
Yes.
That watermelon.
So he looked at the ultra running rule book and his bylaws that he's sworn to uphold for race directors. And then what happened?
I think it was that desperate look in my face. Like, I'm like, please, man, let me back on the course. I just want to see if I can finish to 100. And he did. And at that point, I had about 5 hours left to run 28 miles. And I the whole time, my last lap, which is 1.9 miles, it was a 7-minute mile, which is pretty unreal for me.
Yeah.
I don't usually run
Damn,
that.
girl.
Well,
in a
was
5K.
I was like, I did not want to be the person who goes home literally empty-handed after running all that length of time. And I just kept envisioning how that buckle was going to feel in my hand. How is it going to feel when he hands it to me? And that's all I could think of that last mile. And somehow I got it done. But
how
I
much
thought that was
on
so awesome, because I remember you coming back and being like, what? Like, and you were so funny because you were just like a different person, and you were on a mission. And it was great because she was like super, as you can imagine, like, super friendly and positive and high and all those wonderful things, but also like, I'm getting this done. Like, and it was just like clockwork. It was like lap after lap.
Wow.
It's like the lights were on,
yeah.
like all of a sudden the lights were back on, and I was like, okay, let's do this,
So how much time did you have on the clock when you finished?
About 12 seconds.
Oh my God.
Can you imagine that? Yeah. 12
12
seconds in the
seconds?
golden hour. Yeah. Yeah.
Like you made the light.
I think we were all like at that finish screaming for you. Like, that was
Wow.
pretty
It was,
cool.
I mean, it was amazing. The community, and that's when I realized like the community is just amazing. My husband was there, and he's like, "You realize you couldn't have done it without all these people like cheering for you." And they sent out a couple people along the course to be like, "Hey, run up this hill, and you're almost done." And it was just, an amazing experience.
So,
I
so
mean, I wish I hadn't done that, but it was an
oh
amazing
my God.
experience.
That I can, oh my God, that I've done
I think that was
timed
such a
races.
cool thing too, because I think it pulled, like, looking at it from I mean, an outsider perspective, as in somebody that was there and running and finished what I was doing with probably like a couple minutes to spare too. Like, what I remember about that, especially as you're talking, is that it was like everybody that was there during that last hour or two, I felt like it pulled people together, and like it was like that common thread. And so people were staying, and like it was all like everybody was like suddenly like you're like BFF, like excited, like I don't know, it just became like this little like group. Like, because I remember talking to your husband and being like, "Oh my God, I'm so proud of her." And I'm thinking, like, you would think that this is like somebody that, I've known for decades and whatever, and that, I don't know, it was, I think, a really neat thing for everybody that was there to experience, because I felt like we all had this
Mm.
little piece of that joy of you finishing, and of, like, getting you there, and everybody knew you were like hauling ass. Like, it
When
was just insane, because I remember Ben was like, she's just going crazy.
so what did you like when did you realize that you were definitely going to make it?
When I saw the finish line like 10 feet in front of me,
Oh,
honestly, because the thing is with Notchview, as you guys know, there's that little okay, so there's two big hills, right? There's that
yes.
first hill when you
Right.
leave the camp, and it's the
Yes.
long, slow, gradual haul, a third of a
Yep.
mile up, and then you have a nice down. And then you
Mhm.
have that short, punchy little
Son of a
Yep.
heck
bitch.
of a hill. Yeah.
Yeah.
Becky's
Right at
words,
the
not
end.
mine.
I didn't want to
And
curse
then the
too
little
much.
one in front of the garage too.
Yeah, you're right. And so I was like, oh my gosh. So finally, when I actually saw like the finish line and everything, I was like, okay, I'm gonna be there. But I was so tired at that point. And who was there was Rob. And
Mm,
he's like, listen, just stay right on my
of
shoulder.
course
Just
he
follow
was.
me. Yep.
Oh,
And
of
he's like, you
course
can
he
do this.
was. Who else, right?
Yeah,
But
And
Rob
of
the
course,
so
Bear
awesome.
Breckenridge.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Wow.
That was so cool. I just loved, like, you coming back, and I was just like, what?
I mean,
And
to
it,
come
it
back
was
is
just
one
awesome.
thing, but then to like say, oh, I have 5 hours to do this. And like, for some people, like, okay, yeah, 5 hour marathon. Okay. But 5 hour marathon, kind of as it's getting warmer, as it's a hill, on
Five
this.
hour marathon after doing all those miles, and you're on a trail, and you're not on the road, and you're doing miles past what you've ever done before.
Yeah.
Um, and that race ends at
Hold on. And that was
noon.
your first,
So
just a second. That was your first 100 miler?
No, I think that was my
No.
second.
Okay.
But so the thing is my first was Hamster, and that's in
Oh,
November.
yes.
And
Yeah.
Nashville is a summer race. And honestly, as much as I run them, I don't really like summer races. I'm just not really a good hot
Oh,
weather.
yeah. Right on. Oh,
Like, so let me ask you this, Art. When you were running on Saturday,
hmm.
Saturday was the day it rained at Notchview.
Mm.
Did that feel good I mean, that must have felt really good. Felt great to me
Loved it.
because it cooled
I
everything
loved
down.
it.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
My
the only part of my 30 seconds that I ran that I loved. So,
Yeah,
I
I
sorry.
loved
miss
it, except
you.
that my shoes were completely, because as you know, going through some of the, um, some of these, there were streams,
Yeah,
going through it
puddles
was
and
well
yeah.
over the top of your
Yeah.
feet, running through some of these puddles, and um, so yeah, but I loved it to cool down. Um, yeah, that But I'm
I mean, honestly, I thought it felt great, but I did worry a little bit about chafing and blisters
mm,
after it, I took a few minutes to really just soak in that wetness because I was actually kind of afraid to take my socks off. I was like, what am I going to see
mm,
when I take my socks and shoes off and change into dry stuff? But thankfully, it wasn't bad.
yeah, yeah. Oh, very good. Well, that is such a great story. Congratulations. It is so the part that like gets me is that like you came around, you had 1 point, you finished the second, your penultimate lap, you finished that, and then you're like, okay, I have 1.9 to do, and I got to do it in whatever you want to call it, 15 minutes or 14 minutes, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And you're like, I haven't done honestly, you probably hadn't done a lap that fast all day, right?
No,
Okay.
no.
So now it's like, oh, and I know in the timed races, I always, as it gets down, like the problem is that you knew what that time frame was like 3 hours before, 4 hours before. So the whole last 4 hours, you got to be running scared, saying, oh my God, I don't know, but I'm going to just keep going and I'm going to try to get this. And then, like, all right, well, probably, maybe, I don't know if it's going to happen. And then you have 14 minutes and you're like, fuck, excuse me, I gotta try at least, right? I can't, if it were 5 minutes left, okay, hey, you know what? She tried, it was nice that she came back, you have a nice concession speech, but then the 14, it's like, oh my God, you know, and then like I think every race, whether it's a 5K or 100 miler, has that moment of truth in it where you decide if you're going to run, in a 5K, it's in that last mile and sometimes in that last tenth of a mile where you see that person in front of you and it's like, am I going to put myself in front of them, or am I going to jog in the last mile and just hold my position here, or am I going to somehow catch that person that's way up ahead,
Mm.
and the miracle is that if you believe it, it happens. You can make that stuff happen. I mean, there was a kid in the at Hayward Field running in the US outdoor track championships. A 16-year-old kid went and I think he was like 7th or 8th place in the finals on the back stretch, or on the final stretch of the I guess it was the 800. I guess it was the 800, right? And he just ate him up and got second place, and set the world record for 16-year-olds, and just like you could see
Incredible.
he was on a different world. It was like Dave Waddle running, or it was you'll see that every once in a while, those kind of epic finishes, and it really sounds like you had one of those experiences. So that's got to be a wonderful memory. So congratulations.
You know what was running through my head? It's the stupidest thing in the world. But what was running through my head the whole time, you know how they say, you're supposed to have like mantras, to keep you
Mm,
going, keep you strong and whatever.
mm,
So I had two mantras running through my head. I don't know why. Was get rich or die trying, which
mm.
is a
Ooh.
50 cent title of 50 cent CD.
Yeah.
And the other one was this is for all the cookies in the cookie jar. And I have no idea why those two stupid mantras were in my head the whole time. But
That's so
anytime I
awesome.
hear a 50 Cent song now, I'm like, yeah, it just
Yeah.
takes me back to that day.
I always think like, move, bitch, get out of the way.
Ludicrous.
Yes. So yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. So people out there can use that free of charge. You heard it here on Cultra. So you can, if you're out for a run now, try those things. And go get all the cookies, right? So
Yeah.
um wow. So then so do you have any other like do you have any like big running goals that you feel are unfulfilled at this point, or you want to kind of do more of the same? And what's that look like for you right now? Like,
Yeah, so,
what kind of a runner are you becoming? at this point.
I don't know. Slow, fat, old. I'm not sure which. Choose one.
Nonsense.
Well, I was just talking to a friend of mine yesterday, and he's like, "So what's next for 2026?" And I said, I'm gonna do either two things. I'm either gonna try to run 200 at Notch View, or I'm gonna try to run a really
Ooh.
fast 100. And I know that those two things are complete opposites.
Mm,
When you said a really
So
fast 100, for some reason, I was like, "You're gonna do the 100-meter dash?" Like, I don't know.
yeah.
I was just like,
Usain Bolt.
It's going to go
"Wow,
like
Yeah,
10,
that is
10.9.
like."
go back to the track.
Sorry, I just was like, "What?" And then I'm like, "Duh, no, that's not."
Mm,
Anyways, go on.
So yeah, so those are kind of my two. I'm not sure. I'm kind of vacillating at this point which one I'm gonna try and go for. I
mhm.
did 100. I did 163 at Notch View this year, which was really cool.
That's great.
That was a distance PR for me. But um yeah, so I'm not really sure. So if you guys have any suggestions,
Gotcha.
let me know.
Excellent. Well, boy, so it kind of, you know what I would say, like, a good fundraise, although it doesn't work into your, I don't like the summer theory. I was going to suggest, Badger,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
10 junk miles. They have a race in Wisconsin that's very
Mhm.
good and lots of fun. Becky and I went and ran that.
It is a lot of fun.
Yeah. And so I would say that would be a good one. It's flat, but it could be very hot and could be very humid. But it's well supported and you'll have a good time no matter what you do there. So, um, but yeah.
Maybe Hennepin, which is in the fall,
Mm.
Hennepin 100, or Tunnel Hill as well. I
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
Have you guys had experience with any of those?
I've not. I know
No.
Brian Roccapriori ran Tunnel Hill and did very well. I think he ran something like 18 there or something. He
Oh, wow.
ran a pretty fast run there. And I hear that has a great community as well,
Mhm.
So Hennepin, I can't I can't speak to that. So the other one I was looking at that I think there's one called the Denali 135 that's in
Ooh.
Alaska. So here you
Ooh.
go. This might work for you. So it's on kind of a I believe it's like on a crushed gravel-ish kind of road out in Alaska, point to point, in June. So it's around the summer solstice. So it is I think it's like 20 hours of daylight.
Oh, wow.
Okay. And it's not like super hot. It's like comfortable, it can be,
Mm.
somewhat comfortable. So that's something to look into. It's a smaller race. I think they limit it to 50 people. But that's something I'm going to I'm kind of toying around with there, but that's neither of your choices, right? It's not 200 and it's not 100 and it's not 112,
I think we should plan a Cultura field trip
Yeah,
and
Yeah.
put together a crew and just fly out there and do it.
that might be something to consider. So listen, before it gets too late in the evening, I definitely want to talk about your upcoming race, the Run for the Refuge, some more. So
Yeah, is this
a
is
race
this
for
your
the refuge.
first
Sorry.
is this your first race as an RD?
No, so I'm a co-RD in this race. I've race directed two virtual races back in 2020, as well as a couple 5Ks. And my co-race director, Beth, has also race directed a 10-mile race. So we are, yes, apologetically relatively new to race directing, but we are not new to trail racing. And so
Mhm.
we really developed this race with the runners in mind. We were kind of thinking, what do we want to see in a trail race? What kind of experience do we want to have?
Yeah.
And we're really kind of skirting the line between a low-key, fat ass style trail race, but one that's a little bit more organized, that has some structure to it, as well as lots of great support.
Mm.
So all of the proceeds from this race go to a couple local charities. One is unfortunately, we had a trail runner about 10 years ago pass away unexpectedly. He was in the running club, and so there's a scholarship in his name. So some of the money raised from
And
the race.
what's his name? Do you know that
His
offhand?
name is Jeremy Eschelbacher.
Okay.
And it's his memorial fund that we're sending money to, which is a high school scholarship.
Oh, okay. Oh, good.
Yeah.
The reason I mentioned it is that if there's if you pass a link on to me, we can definitely put that in the show notes. Um, so that
Yeah,
if
thank you
people
so
wanted
much.
to assist, if they're unable to make the race or whatever, they can, if they could make a donation there, that might happen. So, um,
It would be really greatly appreciated. This is the 10th and final year that we're doing a memorial race in his name. And so, but it is our first race at this particular venue. And then the other beneficiary that's getting some of the money is the local refuge system. So in Massachusetts, we have several nature refuges, but it's going to 3 specific refuges, the one that we're hosting at and 2 others. And basically, these nature refuges are um, facing some budget cuts and a few other unfortunate things. And so we're trying to help them maintain some of the education programs, some of the supporting
mm,
programs that they have there, as well as the trail improvements and things like that, the outreach.
yes. And
They do.
is this the Assabet River National Wildlife Refuge? Is that right?
Yes, it's a mouthful to say. Assabet
Yes.
Wildlife Refuge National, yes,
So listen, guys.
Wildlife Refuge. Yes.
So like I know I gave a little history lesson before. I just want to do that. I promise it'll be a little bit shorter now, this
Oh,
one, but
goodness.
the Assabet River National Wildlife Refuge was actually it's a little known fact that that's where, how people say you bet your ass. It was Assabet, and then that was what started this whole saying ass, you bet your ass
It's
is
your
came
ass.
from the
Yeah.
Assabet refuge. So um, if you think if that's an important concept to you, and you want to respect the English language, then I think this could be a good race for you. So right back.
Yes.
Whatever
I
art.
love
Oh
your
my God, Art. Oh my God.
I love your history, and it just keeps reminding me. And see, I'm being good because I'm not interrupting. This is reminding me of when I was going on my tangents about my lists of different things, and you were not listening to my lists, and you were sending us off of the trail. And I'm like, I'm not going to send us off the trail.
No,
Not
you're
going to
not
send us
lost.
off the trail. I'm not going to send us off the trail.
If you're following, you can't be lost, right? I followed you right here. We can't be lost. So
Exactly.
that's good. Okay. So I just wanted to let everybody know that occurred to me. I was reminded of that when I read the name. I was like, Assabet. Too bad they're not Patreon. So, but yeah, that it does sound like now also that the area there used to be a military outpost, and the Park Service took it over from the military. Is that right?
Yeah, so it's funny. So back in World War II, there are these bunkers that were built, and
Mhm.
they're these kind of funny little like A-frame type structures.
Mm.
And actually, on the race course, which is 6.2 miles, you're going to run past 3 of them. And so they're really kind of cool to see because at this point, they're covered in trees and leaves, so they're kind of well disguised, to be honest
Mm.
with you. But those were munitions bunkers. And the roads that the trucks used to drive on are the roads that we're going to be running on, part of them.
Mm.
So it is a trail race, but there is some pavement involved. Much of the pavement is kind of like the broken, kind of asphalty grass, kind of gravelly type of pavement. Um, but
Like
they are
Walking
extra.
Dead stuff, right?
Oh,
Like,
totally.
are there zombies there? I'm just asking. Like,
Well, so so I will run in this refuge, day, night, whatever, it doesn't bother me. But I always look over my shoulder because I always
mm.
feel like one of those little bunker doors is going to creak open
Oh
and
yeah.
some wild thing is going to jump out at me. But
This sounds so much like the mesh. It's uncanny. It just sounds like the Mishamasset forest that we have in Connecticut here. So
I haven't been there. I'd like to see that.
yeah.
So there's all these munitions bunkers there that are no longer being used. But when I really think about the mission of the refuge, it's cool because it's like we're taking this spot that was once used to store weapons,
Mhm.
and they've turned it into a nature refuge. So a place for
Yes.
people to go hiking and running and fishing and hunting and, just be out there bird watching. So that to me is really kind of cool. And I would love to try and help protect that area as much as I can.
Gotcha. Yeah, it does.
Yay.
The pictures that I saw do look pretty awesome. Like it looks like there's a lot of water there. And I guess are there water views during the run? Is that
Yeah,
right?
there's a couple. We're gonna pass through Puffer Pond,
Yep.
which is a nice place that a lot of people will go fishing at, as well. So it's really neat. There's pine forests, there's the water views. It's a little bit buggy this time of year, but by
Mhm.
September rolls around, it'll actually be a lot better. So it's a gorgeous area.
Gotcha. So Becky could bring a bug hat if she wanted to.
I'm
I
telling you,
heard
they're the
about that.
best. They're the best.
Mm.
I bring them with me everywhere now. Seriously.
Have Bug Hat will
To my
travel.
kids' dismay, they don't like it. But
Very good. Whether it's like if you're going into like Cumberland Farms, bug hat, right? Going
you never
into
know when
the
you need one.
Parent teacher
park.
conferences, I tell you, college tours.
Bug
That's
hat.
College, gosh,
Job
my boys would
interviews,
love that.
roadside rest
Yes.
or outhouses. Those would be good. You could probably sell those. At those.
I
So
think there should be like a patented bug hat, that has like your logo on it or something.
mm, um, I'm writing this down, right? That's why I'm like distracted. Logo hat. Okay. I think we can make that happen.
That's
I
a
think
$1 million idea right there.
it is. It is. I'll send you Becky's part, Becky's cut for this.
So your race that you have coming up, how many what's your field size?
Yeah,
Because I saw you have a
we're
bunch
about-
of different, you have a guided walk.
we do. So it's a 10K loop, but we do have a 1 mile guided walk. And that's going to be
Which I
led
like
by
that.
We actually were thinking that walk would be maybe like the spouses would be maybe going on that while their spouse was out running the race. Or maybe they would bring the kids on that walk. We're going to try and
Yeah.
convince them to maybe open one of those bunkers for the day so we could kind of tour inside and look at all the spiders and snakes and stuff. So we have that 1 mile walk. We have a field size of 200, and that is a hard stop for us. So we really can't go above that limit at all. But we have 4 different options. Well, 5 different options if you count the walk. The 1 mile walk is a non-competitive event, so no bib, no timing, no swag really with that. But we have the 10K trail race, we have a 30K trail race, we have the 3 hour, and then the 6 hour version.
Very good.
I love that. I think those are great. Those are all great options to give people like different, and the loop it's a 10K loop, right? You
It's a
said
10K loop. And so we kind of thought with like the 6 hour version or even the 3 hour version, we thought, it would be perfect for someone who has maybe a fall marathon that they're training for and they need to get in the long run because they could get a nice, 18-mile long run in, and that would be that's a good day at the office, right?
right.
Same
Yeah.
thing with the 6 hours. If you're training for a 50K, for example, and you need to get in, 24 miles or something, that would be a great training run. And then we also have a lot of great events in the fall, like Ghost Train Hamster Wheel that people might be training for. So that 6 hour
Yeah.
version is great. You'll be in a supported environment. It's non-technical and smooth, relatively flat. And that's kind of how we're hoping people will use that 3 hour and 6 hour option.
Gotcha. Yeah, that sounds Yeah, that sounds like a good a nice way to spend some time with some friends and and get the kind of test your stuff out. Um, if you are already signed up for another race too, or this in itself looks like a good destination. You can say that you're part of the original, you know,
Yeah.
race for the refuge. So
Yeah, it's really kind of cool. And we have all these little freebies that we're, giving. We're going to do prizes. There's a free beer at one of our Clover Road, which is a brewery. Yeah, which is kind of cool that they're doing
That's
it. We do a
fun.
lot of runs from them. And so they were gracious to say, okay, great, we'll do free beer and snacks, maybe even a food truck, maybe even live music. They have a
mm,
beautiful patio
Wow.
there. So we're really hoping that because we can't have alcohol on national land, people will go there for kind of like an after party situation.
Yeah.
gotcha.
That
Gotcha.
just sounds great.
Yeah, it's been honestly, guys, it's been a real labor of love because I've been running there for years, and every time I would go, I was like, oh, this would be such a great place to have a run. Because if you
Mm,
think about it, you need parking for 200, 300 cars. You need a facility that will hold all those places. You need a place
hmm
for the porta potties. You need to be able to mark the course efficiently. And with trails that aren't maybe too rugged, but still interesting enough for people to enjoy the run. And so it felt to me like a unicorn, really. And when I
mm,
stumbled on it and then they gave us the approval, it was like, this is all happening. Like for real, it's happening.
Mm.
very good.
Wow.
Huh. That
That is so
sounds
exciting.
it is. It is. Well, congratulations on on this undertaking and I'm going to see, hopefully I'll be able to make that. I'll have to double check and make sure that it fits in with everything, but I'll definitely have a link in the in the show notes to that. Could you tell us, I know we talked a little bit about the Striders, maybe just like some last words about how to get, like I was amazed because I kind of checked them out a little bit on their page, and I see it looks like they have runs, like it looks like almost every day of the week. Like you have a 5 at 5 a.m., a
Yeah,
group that meets
yeah.
at 5 a.m. You have 5 miles at 6 a.m. on a different day. Um,
It literally has been a life changer for me in terms of not only the supportive environment, but friends that I've made. And it's really kind of like multitasking, right? I mean, you can get your workout in and have coffee, coffee hour with your friends while you're running. Like
Right.
mm,
Yeah.
it's just a really cool environment. So we have about 240 members at this point. This year I'm actually the vice president. And so
Wow.
yeah, woohoo! It's an unpaid
moving
Good
up,
for
position.
you.
Judy,
No, that's
moving up,
great.
girl. Now you're on Cultra. Holy crap, things are going well for you,
Yeah,
right?
man. I'm just,
I mean,
I'm not sure where things took a wrong turn.
yeah, or at least they were going well, right?
Well, yeah, we have runs. I mean, we have a Tuesday morning muffin run. And basically, there's one man in the club, and he's retired at this point, but he bakes muffins for 30 people every Tuesday for
The
free.
Muffin Man.
The Muffin Man.
The
Oh my
Muffin Man.
And
Do you know the
goodness.
Muffin
every
Man,
Tuesday,
Becky?
that's what he, yeah.
I I don't. Judy does.
He's a great guy to
There
know.
is a
But
song
then,
like that.
we've got that. We've got the 5 at 5, which is a 5 mile run at 5 a.m. Then we have Saturday and Sunday runs. The Sunday runs are usually the longer runs. And then we usually have ways to cut some of the runs shorter. And one of the things that I'm really passionate about is a little small faction of the Striders, which is called the Slow and Steady Striders. And basically, these are folks that are kind of what you might say back of the pack type of runners. And so we all take turns to make sure that there's everyone in the back of the pack is supported. So we either run back and make sure that everyone's okay, or that there's someone who knows the route that's with that group of folks. And just to make sure that we're welcoming of people of all different abilities
Mm,
and ages. We have one of our members who's about to turn 80, and
mm.
So
he's a
cool.
fantastic runner. And so lots of different folks, and it really is a great environment to be in.
Wow. Yeah, I think a lot of clubs miss the boat on that because sometimes we get into the oh yeah, I'm, whatever. I'm an established runner. This is what I want to do. And the fact is that like the clubs that embrace new people running, God, if you want to get, that's like it's many miracles to watch people come in. It's like watching newcomers at AA. Like, they come in and they get some miles and they shake the rust off and they get stronger and before you know it, you know, they're out there doing things that they never dreamed were possible, and you never know who's going to be, that there's a guy that I know that used to show up at we had a group that met in the morning, a fast group and a slow group. He was running with the slow group and he was the charity case for the slow group. Like they were like, oh my God, we said slow, but like, this is slow. And I think he ran something like 20 marathons under 3 hours.
Wow.
Wow.
And he's well into his 50s,
Wow.
doing that. So he's
Yeah.
like who knew that he was the talent, that talent was there. His first marathon was like 6 hours or more, so, so, and he's a nice person. Right. So, and become a good friend. So, so that's great to hear that that there's definitely a club who gets that that very important part of running, embracing and welcoming the new person, as is evidenced by the welcome that you got, right? I mean, where he said, "Hey, I'm so glad you're here." So
Yeah.
And Judy, I would say that I'm so glad that you said hi to me at 2:00 in the morning. And and that you joined us on the show tonight because it was a lot of fun. So
Thank you so much, you guys. It's just been a real pleasure, and I've listened to you through thick and thin over the last several years. And that was what was so funny, Art, is I felt like we were just old friends. And I know like all the funny little stories and the little inside jokes that you have. And I'm like, I've known Art for like 5 years, we're
forever.
old buddies.
Very good.
So I appreciate it so much. And I appreciate Beck so much because one of the things, just a real quick story, is, well, Becky, you said to me, I don't know, it was like the second time we were talking or something like that. And I was ahead of you slightly on the trail. And you said something about my legs. And like, right?
as she is known to do.
I whip around.
I'm sure I
like,
did. I absolutely am, because she's got the best body. I'm telling you, Art.
Well, no.
See,
but then I was like, well, if you like the legs, check out the hands. It's like we can just dish it out to each other, and that's what I love about the fun in the community and just that lighthearted. You have to have fun when you're doing something hard, right?
Yeah.
yes.
You're doing it wrong if you're not having fun.
That's right. Very good.
Sorry.
See, that's what I liked about her. That spiciness.
Yeah. Very good. Beck, you have any closing arguments?
I want to do this race, or any race that you decide to RD at, or really any race that you run, because I feel like I didn't get my Judy fix this year. So I'm due. I'm definitely due for that. So I'm so excited that you have such a big role in your running club, and in that you're RDing a race. I think those are such perfect positions for you. So
yes.
Thank you.
Inside culture tip: invest in the Striders because their stock is going up. So due to Judy. Judy Proteau, thank you so much for joining us. For all of our listeners out there, if you've made it this far, of course, seek professional help, and we will see you all in a mile
and a half.
All right.
Oh my God, that was the most fun I've ever had with my clothes on. No, I shouldn't say that. Thank God you're not recording anymore.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh,
And I totally do remember because I remember being like
that
look at how
story,
cute you look, and her being like, you like this, you like, and I was like, yeah.
my kind of person.
Mm.
That story was amazing too, of finishing with 12 seconds and going home. Oh my God.
Yeah, I
That's a
remember when
great
she just was
story.
like, "Yep, no, I'm done. This isn't whatever, and then, and then just like her coming back,
Who
and
does
everybody
that,
being like,
right? I'm like home, I'm fucking watching TV. I'm
well, I
like,
just remember doing loops, and like she and I had talked, as much as I talked during that race, like we had actually talked for a bit, and her coming back, and I was like, what? And she's like, well, I don't know why I got home. I'm getting this done. And then it was just so funny because, I'm in my last hours and trying to get to my 100, and she just was like in like this cruise control. Like she just was like, woof, woof, like just whipping by me each loop,
mm,
like, because she didn't have like, I mean, she was up against the clock, and it
yeah,
was
no, it
really
sounds
cool
like it.
to watch.
Oh, that is cool.
Hello, this is Zed Nipples with another song for you. 2, 3, 4. The Culture Crew, come and have a listen to the Culture Crew, the largest cow and the monkey too. Come and have a listen to the Culture Crew. The Culture Crew, put Desitin all over you. Makes your ass crack feel like new. Come and have a listen to the Culture Crew.